and welcome to this video where we will sew together the pattern for the Nikko Nomad case or makeup bag designed for the bathroom and your travels. The goal is to create a practical, compact-sized item to store essential toiletries such as toothpaste, toothbrush, razor, combs, or a makeup kit. The pouch is very clever, with compartments for brushes or a toothbrush and fully lined zip pockets to hold tubes or makeup. The item is made with 3 woven fabrics and is padded. All seams are unclosed between layers for a neat finish. Finally, it features a closure made from cotton twill ribbon or an elastic loop and a button. These also allow the pouch to be hung up, making it very convenient to use in the bathroom or while traveling. We chose a fairly flat pouch so it takes up little space in a handbag or suitcase. For people who often have more cosmetic products, you can also sew multiple pouches to separate uses. One for makeup, one for care essentials like toothbrush, toothpaste, cotton pads, or wipes, for example, and another for manicure items if everything doesn't fit into a single pouch. Finally, Nikko can also be used as a knitting pouch or a pencil case. The sewing level is intermediate. The pattern requires precision when installing the zippers, but other than that, there's nothing difficult about this project. You just need to take your time. Regarding the fabrics to use, for the main fabric, fabric 1 on the outside and fabric 2 on the inside, woven fabrics of varying thicknesses are recommended. For the exterior, you can use light fabrics like poplin or seersucker, or thicker ones such as waffled fabric, washed linen, or thin quilted fabrics. Heavier fabrics like canvas or gabardine are also suitable. You can also use lightweight, waterproof nylon fabrics for a soft and light pouch. The outer piece of the pouch will need to be interfaced with fusible wadding such as H630 or H640 to create a small padded layer with structure. Only the outer fabric will be padded, not the other pieces. For the inner pieces, the same fabric as the outer one is used in a different color if you want to create contrast, or you can optionally use a lighter fabric, never heavier, such as poplin, seersucker, linen, denim, canvas, or nylon. Mesh can also be used for the pockets. Finally, you can also use an oilcloth style coated cotton fabric, soft and flexible, for both the interior and outer. In this case, padding the outer fabric is optional. For the lining, we'll mainly use lightweight fabrics such as poplin, seersucker, chambray, or thin nylon. Since the pieces to be sewn are small, you can easily use fabric scraps or recycle items from your wardrobe. As for the supplies, you will need 2 18cm nylon zippers, about 4 millimeters thick. I recommend nylon zippers. You'll also need fusible wadding such as H630 or H640, or a lightweight fusible interfacing like G700. For the closure and flap hole, you can either use 90 centimeters of 2 centimeters wide cotton twill ribbon and 10 centimeters of 1 centimeter wide twill tape, or alternatively, use 15 centimeters of round elastic cord and a 15 millimeters diameter button. As for sewing equipment, the travel pouch is sewn entirely with a regular sewing machine. There's no need for a serger, as all seams are enclosed. For basic sewing tools, you'll need regular fabric scissors or a rotary cutter to cut out the fabric pieces, small precision scissors for finishes, pins or clips, and needles suited to your fabric. I recommend universal needles size 90, 100, or even 110 for medium to heavy fabrics. Finally, you'll need polyester sewing threads that match your various fabrics. We've made several versions, which I'll now show you. We'll start with a pouch using quilted fabric for the exterior with added wadding and a Babylon poplin from Ekiti for the interior. The lining is made with an off-white poplin. We used off-white cotton twill ribbon for the ties and off-white zippers. We also have a version with quilted striped seersucker for the exterior, a printed poplin from Rifle Paper Co. for the interior, and a cherry red washed linen for the lining. We used off-white zippers as well. For the ties, We used a round elastic cord and a colorful button. Finally, we have a simple version in khaki Fargo canvas on the outside and off-white on the inside, with a seersucker lining from Atelier Brunette. We use black and off-white cotton twill ribbon and off-white zippers. This is a very elegant version that will suit everyone. We've cut our pieces. We have the outer piece and the wadding, which has the same shape but without the seam allowance, the inner pieces in a contrasting fabric, the flap, and the lining pieces for the central pocket, the zippered pockets, and the pocket bottoms. We'll place the fusible side of the wadding against the wrong side of the outer piece, centering it by marking the middle of each edge and aligning them. Then we'll fuse it with an iron, placing a piece of cotton fabric, like poplin, between the iron and the wadding to protect it, since the wadding is synthetic and could be damaged by direct heat. Lastly, using a fabric pen, we'll transfer the markings onto the central pocket. These markings are used to create the compartment lines on the pocket. Once assembled, there will be 3 compartments 4 centimeters wide and 1 3 centimeters wide. Of course, you can adjust the number and size of compartments depending on how you plan to use the pouch. If you do so, make sure to place your own markings accordingly, keeping in mind that there's a 1 centimeter seam allowance on each side of the pocket. For example, to fit a toothpaste tube or a comb, you might want to remove one compartment to create a larger space. We'll prepare the ends of the zippers with finishing pieces. Fold one finishing piece in half, wrong sides together, and either stitch it 5 millimeters from the bottom or hold it in place with a pin, your choice. Repeat this step with the other 3 finishing pieces. Take your 2 18 centimeter zippers and place the folded edge of one finishing piece onto the right side of a zipper at one end. The fold should cover the zipper stops, and the rest of the finishing piece will extend beyond the end of the zipper. That's normal. Pin it in place. Do the same on the opposite end of the zipper with another finishing piece. Then, stitch along each side of the zipper coil, right at the edge of the zipper tape, securing with back stitches at the beginning and end of each seam. The idea is to cover the zipper ends and hold them in place with a few stitches. Use a standard presser foot and start by sewing a few back and forth stitches, then continue sewing about 2 millimeters from the edge of the zipper tape. Finish with a few more back stitches. There you go. Both zippers are ready with their finishing pieces in place. Just a note, we don't trim the excess fabric at the ends of the zippers. We'll start with the central pocket. Place the fabric and lining pieces right sides together, align the top edge, and pin it. Then stitch along the top edge with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. The seam is stitched. Press the seam allowance toward the lining, then top stitch. This means sewing the lining and the seam allowance together 2 millimeters below the previous seam. Place the pocket and its lining wrong sides together. Press carefully, then top stitch through all layers 1 centimeter from the top edge. Now align the pocket along the bottom edge of the central inner piece, with the pocket lining right sides together with the inner piece. Pin in place, then stitch the sides and bottom at 5 millimeters within the seam allowance. When you reach the bottom corners, leave the needle down in the fabric, lift the presser foot, pivot the work 90 degrees, lower the presser foot, and continue stitching. Finally, if the compartment lines on the central pocket faded with the heat of the iron, redraw them. Then stitch along the lines, starting at the top of the pocket with a few back and forth stitches. Continue sewing down to the bottom and finish with a few more back stitches. Repeat the process for the remaining compartment lines. And there you have it. The sections are created and I ironed over the fabric to remove any pen marks. Let's now prepare the zippered pockets that will go on either side of the central pocket. Be careful. The zippered pockets aren't perfectly symmetrical, as the openings are always positioned on the left. So we'll start by attaching the first zipper to the right pocket. Take a thin spiral zipper. Align the right side of the zipper tape along the straight vertical edge of the right zippered pocket piece, right sides together. Center the zipper and pin it in place. The zipper end finishing pieces will extend slightly beyond the edge, and that's normal. Then take the lining for the same pocket piece, place it right side down on top, sandwiching the zipper between the two fabrics, and re-pin through all layers. Stitch 5 millimeters from the zipper coil using a zipper foot. Start by installing the one-sided zipper foot and shifting the needle to the left. After a few backstitches to secure the seam, continue sewing with a straight stitch. If the zipper pull gets in the way, stop sewing, leave the needle planted in the fabric, lift the presser foot, slide the pull behind the foot, lower the foot, and resume stitching. You can use a point turner or a pin to flatten the fabric just before it goes under the needle. This helps prevent creases. Once you reach the end of the edge, finish with a few backstitches to secure the seam. Fold the fabric and its lining wrong sides together, then press the seam flat. Be careful to avoid direct contact between the iron and the zipper chain, as it's synthetic and could be damaged by the heat. Use the tip of the iron and press just next to the zipper to flatten everything nicely without touching the iron. Take the side piece of the zippered pocket and repeat the steps to attach the other side of the zipper along the straight edge of this side piece. Align the zipper tape right sides together with the fabric, pin in place. Then align the lining of this piece, also right side down, so the zipper is sandwiched between the two layers. Re-pin through all layers. Stitch again at 5 millimeters from the zipper chain using the zipper foot, just like before. The two pieces are now folded wrong sides together and pressed. Optionally, top stitch 2 millimeters from the seam on each side of the zipper using the one-sided zipper foot for a clean finish and extra hold. Next, repeat the same steps in mirror for the left zippered pocket, assembling it with its zipper in the same way, making sure the zipper opening is again positioned on the left side. The two zippered pockets are now ready. We'll align the central pocket right sides together with one of the zippered pockets, here, the left zippered pocket, along the left edge of the central pocket. Pin in place. Next, take the lining piece for the pocket bag and align its right side along the wrong side of the left zippered pocket, matching the same edge. Re-pin through all the layers. At this stage, the left zippered pocket is sandwiched between the central pocket and the pocket bag. Stitch along this edge with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. There, it's stitched. And we repeat on the other side symmetrically with the right pocket on the right edge of the central pocket. The inside is ready. Press it carefully. And now trim the excess from the zipper finishing pieces on each side. Place the flap and its lining right sides together. Pin the sides and the curved bottom edge. Mark the center of the curved edge of the flap. Cut a 10 centimeters long, 1 centimeter wide cotton twill ribbon and fold it in half. Alternatively, you can use a 7 centimeters piece of thin round elastic cord. Insert the ribbon or folded cord between the flap and its lining, aligning the raw edges of the loop with the raw edge of the flap. Pin it in place. Stitch the flap with a 1 centimeter seam allowance along the sides and the curved bottom. Always begin with a few back stitches, then continue with a straight stitch 1 centimeter from the edge. When you reach the curves, sew slowly, pivoting the fabric little by little. At the attachment point, reinforce with a few back stitches. Finish with a final back stitch. The seam is done. Trim the seam allowances down to 3 millimeters and turn the flap right side out. Shape the curves with your fingers and press. Optionally, top stitch 2 millimeters from the edge along the same 3 edges. Mark the center top of the central pocket and the center top of the flap using pins. Now align the right side of the flap lining with the top edge of the central pocket, centering it. Pin in place and stitch through all layers at 5 millimeters within the seam allowance. Pin the pocket bottoms to hold them in place against the pockets. With the flap folded down over the central pocket, align the edges of the outer piece with the inner assembly of the assembled pockets and central flap, right sides together. Pin all around and leave a 10 centimeters opening on the left side of the pouch. Then stitch all the way around the pouch, starting from one opening mark and sewing around to the other. The seam is done. Now trim the seam allowances down to 3 millimeters all around, except at the opening where you'll just notch the seam allowance. Then turn the pouch right side out by pulling everything through the opening. Shape the curved corners using the tip of your scissors, then press the pouch, carefully folding in a 1 centimeter seam allowance along the opening. This is the moment to be especially gentle and precise. Mark the center of the side where the opening was left. Insert 2 ribbons, each 45 centimeters long and 2 centimeters wide, stacking them on top of each other and tucking about 1 centimeter of their ends between the fabric layers. Pin to hold them in place, then top stitch 2 millimeters from the edge to close the opening and secure the ribbons. You can also top stitch all the way around, as I did here. Just make sure to open the flap and lay it flat so it doesn't get caught in the stitching. You can fold the 2 sides of the pouch toward the center and separate the 2 ribbons to tie them around the closed pouch. You may choose to shorten one of the ribbons depending on how you prefer to tie it, or fold the ends of the ribbons twice and stitch them down for a clean finish. The pouch can be hung vertically by tying the 2 ribbons and letting it hang. This way, the items placed in the compartments of the central pocket won't fall out, and both zippered pockets can be easily opened. You can also hang the pouch using the loop on the flap. You can also replace the 2 twill tapes with a loop and button closure. To do this, cut a 6 centimeters piece of round elastic cord, fold it in half, and press the 2 ends tightly together. Insert these ends at the center mark on the left side of the open pouch. You can wrap a bit of sewing thread around the 2 ends of the elastic to keep them held tightly together before inserting them. Pin to hold in place. Then, top stitch either just at the opening where the loop is inserted or, if you prefer, around the entire outer edge of the pouch, 2 millimeters from the edge, with back stitches at the beginning and end. If you go with the second option, make sure the flap is fully opened and flat. I recommend reinforcing the area around the elastic loop with extra back stitches for durability. You'll also need to position the button and sew it onto the right side of the pouch. And that's it. Your Nikko travel pouch is finished. The finishes are neat and clean, and this pouch will be useful for the whole family, whether in the bathroom, in a bag, or in a suitcase. It can also be used to store medication or as a pencil case or activity pouch for kids. We hope you'll enjoy making your Nikko pouches as much as we did. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We can't wait to see your versions, so share them on Instagram with #IketiNikko. See you soon at Ikati.